We've been sold a clean version of Greece's fall. In that version, the cradle of democracy stands proud until an unstoppable Roman war machine crashes through the gates. But the truth is darker. Rome did not simply conquer Greece. For generations, Greek cities invited foreign powers into their rivalries, traded pieces of their freedom for temporary advantage, and mistook survival for victory. By the time the executioner arrived, the table had already been set. The wine had been poured, and the blade was lying within reach. This is not the story of one final battle. It is the anatomy of a slow political suicide, and the terrifying reason the civilization that taught the world how to debate never learned when to stop fighting itself. The first wound opened long before a Roman legion crossed into the Greek world. In the 5th century BC, the Greeks had accomplished what should have been impossible. Independent city-states, divided by geography and ambition, had resisted the enormous Persian Empire. Athens emerged with a fleet, prestige, and a growing maritime alliance. Sparta carried the reputation of the most feared land army in Greece. Together, they had survived an existential threat. Then the alliance curdled into suspicion. Athens transformed the Delian League into an empire. Tribute flowed into its treasury. Rebellious allies discovered that membership was easier to enter than to leave. Sparta watched Athenian walls rise, Athenian ships multiply, and Athenian influence spread across the Aegean. Neither side needed the other to attack first. Fear did the work before the first spear was thrown. In 431 BC, the Peloponnesian War began. For nearly 3 decades, Greeks burned Greek fields, cut down orchards, starved cities, slaughtered prisoners, and called it strategy. Athens was struck by plague. Expeditions vanished overseas. Governments collapsed and were replaced by oligarchs, democrats, and tyrants, each promising order and delivering another list of enemies. The war did not merely kill soldiers. It taught an entire generation that betrayal was a legitimate instrument of statecraft. When Athens finally surrendered in 404 BC, Sparta had won. But the victory was poisoned. Persian money had helped finance the Spartan fleet, and the supposed liberators of Greece soon imposed their own dominance. Former allies became subjects. New coalitions formed. Thebes rose against Sparta. Athens rebuilt. The cycle began again. The victor was exhausted. The loser was humiliated. And every neighboring power had learned the same lesson. Greek unity lasted only as long as the next emergency. To the north, Philip II of Macedon was watching. Many southern Greeks regarded Macedonia as rough, peripheral, almost foreign. Philip understood that contempt could be useful. While the city-states argued over old grievances, he rebuilt the Macedonian army around disciplined infantry, longer pikes, mobile cavalry, and coordinated command. He used marriages, hostages, alliances, threats, and gold with the same precision he used soldiers. Athenian speakers accused his supporters of being bought with Macedonian money. Whether every charge was true mattered less than the atmosphere they revealed. Public debate had become infected by paranoia. Every peace proposal could be branded treason. Every warning could be dismissed as political theater. Philip did not need to invent these fractures. He only needed to understand them. In 338 BC, the armies of Athens and Thebes met him at Chaeronea. Imagine the field after the lines broke. Shattered spears beneath the dust. The elite sacred band of Thebes cut down where it stood, and the young Alexander driving Macedonian cavalry into the collapsing Greek flank. Chaeronea did not erase every Greek institution or end every future rebellion, but it ended the age in which Athens, Thebes, or Sparta could decide the balance of power without answering to a stronger master. Philip formed the League of Corinth and prepared an invasion of Persia. Then he was assassinated. His son Alexander inherited the army, the crown, and the unfinished war. Alexander carried Greek language and culture farther than any Athenian fleet had ever sailed. He destroyed the Persian Empire, founded cities, and opened vast new routes for soldiers, merchants, administrators, and scholars. But his conquests also shifted the center of gravity away from the old city-states. Ambition moved east to Alexandria, Antioch, and the royal courts created from his victories. When Alexander died in Babylon in 323 BC, no stable succession existed. His generals divided the empire, then fought over the pieces. Greece became both prize and battlefield. Macedonian kings intervened. Greek leagues formed and fractured. Cities declared freedom under the protection of one ruler, then sought another ruler to protect them from the first. And across the Adriatic, Rome was learning how the game worked. Rome did not first enter the Greek world as its declared destroyer. It arrived as an ally, an arbitrator, and eventually a liberator. That was what made the danger so difficult to see. During Rome's wars against the Macedonian king Philip V, Greek states chose sides according to their own immediate fears. Some saw Macedonia as the greater threat and welcomed Roman intervention. Rome defeated Philip at Cynoscephaly in 197 BC. The following year, at the Isthmian Games near Corinth, the Roman commander Titus Quinctius Flamininus stepped before a crowd gathered from across Greece. A herald demanded silence. Then came the proclamation. The Greek communities named by Rome were to be free, ungarrisoned, and governed by their own laws. For a moment, the stadium froze. The words seemed too generous to believe. Then the crowd erupted. Ancient accounts described the roar as overwhelming. Men rushed toward Flamininus, reaching for his hands, throwing garlands, nearly crushing the man who had announced their freedom. It was one of the most triumphant moments in Greek memory. It was also the trap. Rome did withdraw its garrisons. The proclamation was not simply a theatrical lie, but Greek freedom now existed inside boundaries Rome had defined, and Rome reserved the power to decide when those boundaries had been violated. A gift granted by a foreign army could be interpreted, revised, or withdrawn by the same foreign power. The Greeks believed they had used Rome to break Macedonia. Rome had learned that it could dominate Greece without immediately occupying it. From then on, every dispute carried a hidden invitation. Rival cities and leagues appealed to the Roman Senate. Delegations crossed the sea asking Rome to punish a neighbor, reverse a settlement, recognize a faction, or protect an alliance. Each appeal appeared practical. Each one surrendered a little more authority to a court from which there was no equal appeal. Rome's advantage was not that every Roman plan was brilliant. It was that the Romans could lose armies, replace them, and return. Their alliance system supplied manpower on a scale no single Greek city could match. Their Senate pursued objectives across generations. Greek politics remained local, immediate, and personal. Rome could afford patience. Its opponents usually could not. The relationship darkened after Rome defeated Macedon again at Pydna in 168 BC. Macedonian power was broken. Thousands of Greeks suspected of disloyalty were taken to Italy without a normal trial. Among them was the historian Polybius, who would spend years observing the machinery of the power that had swallowed his world. He saw the central contradiction clearly. Rome admired Greece. Roman elites studied Greek literature, collected Greek sculpture, employed Greek tutors, and spoke Greek as the language of refinement. But admiration offered no protection. A conqueror can love what a civilization created while denying that civilization the power to govern itself. The Final Rupture came in 146 BC. The Achaean League, one of the last major Greek federal powers, entered a disastrous confrontation with Rome. Its leaders misjudged the political situation, overestimated the resistance they could organize, and underestimated what Rome was prepared to do. Desperate measures followed. Men were mobilized. Slaves were promised freedom for service. Corinth became the center of a gamble made after the odds had already disappeared. The Roman commander, Lucius Mummius, advanced south. The decisive fighting near Corinth was brief. The Achaean force broke. Survivors fled behind the city walls, expecting perhaps a siege, negotiation, or terms. But the leadership abandoned Corinth during the night. When Roman soldiers approached, they found the gates undefended and the streets waiting. Then Rome delivered its lesson. Ancient accounts describe the men being killed and women and children sold into slavery. Houses and temples were stripped. Paintings and statues were removed for transport west. Mummius reportedly warned the contractors carrying the artworks that if they lost them, they would have to replace them, as if masterpieces could be reordered like shields or timber. Then Corinth burned. Flames moved through one of the richest cities in Greece. Roofs collapsed into streets once crowded with merchants. Smoke rolled above the isthmus, where only 50 years earlier, Greeks had nearly crushed Flamininus beneath garlands after Rome proclaimed their freedom. That is the image at the center of the fall. Not a barbarian army destroying a culture it hated. A power that revered Greek civilization was burning a Greek city to establish that admiration and obedience were not the same thing. The proclamation at the Games had promised freedom. The ruins of Corinth revealed the condition hidden inside that promise. Greece could be free, provided Rome agreed with the way it used that freedom. Corinth's destruction did not make Greek life disappear, nor did all Greece instantly become a single Roman province in that year. Roman administration developed in stages, and the senatorial province of Achaea would be organized under Augustus in 27 BC. Greek cities continued to govern local affairs. Sanctuaries remained active. Philosophers taught. Greek language and identity endured so strongly that they would reshape Rome itself. That survival makes the ending more disturbing, not less. Greece lost political command while retaining cultural authority. Roman generals shipped Greek art home. Roman students studied Greek philosophy. Roman authors adapted Greek stories. The conqueror wore the face of the conquered, prayed to renamed versions of Greek gods, and educated its children in the language of people it had defeated. But marble could travel where sovereignty could not. The fall of Greece was never one clean collapse. It was a sequence of rational decisions made under pressure. Athens built an empire to protect its security. Sparta accepted Persian money to defeat Athens. Greek states welcomed Macedonia to restrain their rivals, then welcomed Rome to restrain Macedonia. Each alliance solved the danger of the moment while strengthening the power that would dominate the next. That is why the story still feels uncomfortably modern. Civilizations rarely announce that they are surrendering their future. They call it a temporary alliance, a necessary compromise, a legal exception, a foreign guarantee. The people making the decision may sincerely believe they are preserving freedom because the chains have not yet been locked. By the time they hear the mechanism close, the argument is already over. So was Greece destroyed by Rome? Or did its leaders spend generations making Roman control the least impossible outcome? Tell us where you believe the point of no return came. The Peloponnesian War, Chaeronea, the Proclamation of 196 BC, or Corinth? Subscribe to the History Ledger for more stories about the choices that buried empires long before their ruins appeared. The marble remembers the glory. The ledger records the price.